Today was practice 9. We've had a really good summer to this point. I like this team a lot. It's a very mature, very hard-working team. Today was our 9th. We get 10 practices in preparation for this trip. Today was practice 9. We've kept those right at 2 hours. We've been very basic. We tried to get up and down a little bit in every day. But we've practiced, getting guys acclimated to FIBA rules and the 24-second shot clock and knocking the ball off the rim and some of those things. But that aspect of it has been really good for us. Learning to play a little quicker, make better decisions in a quicker frame of time. But it's been a good summer. I'm excited for this trip. Not only the trip itself, going to Spain and going to someplace that nobody's been, but to see some different uniforms and just kind of get a jump start and then start putting pieces together. We'll play everybody over there. We'll have some different lineups probably in every quarter. Some guys will play more in certain games than others. Just as we get the opportunity to look. Obviously, we'd love to go win them all and play great, but the biggest thing is learning a lot about ourselves while we're over there. So it's been very basic in terms of what we've taught. We've tried to be very good on the defensive side, very disciplined on that side, and then offensively, we don't have. We're kind of a shell of ourselves in terms of what we'll have offensively in terms of sets, but most of our stuff's been our quick hit stuff that's in. So, but it's been good. I like this team. I like our leadership. I like our maturity, and I've been really excited about that.
Health-wise, how are Marcus and Terrence's wrist?
Terrence is fine. Marcus has had a somewhat frustrating summer from an injury standpoint. He's tweaked a hamstring. He did it again yesterday. So being on the cautious side, not having him do anything today or tomorrow. And again, we'll with hamstrings, we'll err on the side of caution with those. But it's been something that's aggravating. Terrence has been fine and is in a really good spot. And Keaton Kuchar has also been out as he's been fighting a concussion. So, but for the most part, we've gotten through the summer in a pretty healthy fashion, and hope we do that in Spain.
Will Marcus play on the trip, bro?
We'll see. Yeah, those are all. Like I said, we're going to err on the side of caution, and we'll see, and hopefully that he gets that opportunity.
What's your challenge as a coach of all these new pieces, putting this roster together schematically and figuring out what's best for this team?
Yeah, I think it's, again, I go back to my junior college days. It's very much like that. This group is old. It's got a very mature way of thinking. It's a very experienced group. You're talking about, Guy and Marcus and Justin and Quincy coming into a new program with, 90 to 100 games under their belt, 1,600 point scorers. So you've got an experience standpoint that is really nice. You've also got a maturity side of things from a physical, and that's just the physical, the emotional, the actual experience of playing in games. They understand that. So they're very matter of fact in their approach and what they do in terms of how they work. And, it's just getting up to speed with our terminology and how we do things. And that's been very seamless, as easy maybe as any group we've ever had. Now, how all the pieces fit together, we have to see somebody else. It gets hard in the scrimmage, seeing each other move pieces around every day. But actually, once we see a different uniform and we can start working on combinations, I'm pretty excited to see how all that plays out.
What do you expect to learn about these guys in your
Yeah, it's as much a team building and build your chemistry and let guys hang out and get to know each other and we've had very competitive practices. Our whole summer's been based around competition. We know this is a very competitive group. They handle competition in a mature way. They handle the competitive side in a mature way. Now we get to see that, how they handle adversity against somebody else and how that evolves and grows. And so, I think obviously we want to see combinations. We want to see, what guys fit in certain scenarios and what guys' strengths are. So all the basics, everything that you would think about, we want to find out as well. But a lot of the other team and chemistry and who plays well together, we want to find that out. And we get the opportunity with 3 games to do that.
In an era where there's more player movement, is there more of an advantage to a trip like this where you get that extra time?
I hope so. I think that obviously you get 10 practices and you get a year ago we didn't have a whole lot in. We had guys just getting acclimated to the weight room and trying to get bigger and stronger and better, and that's been still a part of it. But you got guys that have grown man bodies, and so now we're with this trip we obviously have to have some offense in, and we've really tried to dial up a lot of the fundamental things that will be the base for the season. And and then we get to go see 3 opponents. So it's not just a great educational piece that we'll get to tour and do those things, but it's the basketball side of it's pretty good because you get to compete.
I know Ty's playing a good amount of point guard. What are you seeing from him, and what's that position like as a whole in terms of who you think can play that spot?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Ty's been really good. Draven, as a freshman, we've played him a lot there as well. We've seen Nico there a good amount. We've seen Sincere there a good amount. So it's like any other year. You got to figure out who plays well together and with what. And Ty is a different point guard, being 6'6", 6'7", long. He's strong. He's as good an athlete as we've got. I think he maxed out touching at 12-2 or something the other day, and it's vertical and powerful. And you start putting shooters around him, that court opens up and gets pretty wide, and so that excites us because we've got some versatility in each of those guys.
What's probably the biggest thing Ty needs to develop as he goes?
Well, I think it's just an understanding of being a quarterback, what that entails. He's very vocal. Understanding when they win and where the game goes. It's it gets really hard, and you guys saw it today a little bit. It gets really hard when you face our ball screen coverage because so much of it's 2-on-2, and it's not a lot of tagging. Well, he's going to see tags over there, and he's going to have to make reads and get guys involved, and it's not about scoring as much as it is when you face our defense. So all those little subtleties, that reading the game, getting guys involved, understanding pace, understanding the control of the game. Defensively, he's really, really good at that end of the court because a lot of times he can just physically overpower some people. So, but he's been really, really good.
What's the difference of Luke now compared to at the end of the season, which basically just
conditioning, shape, confidence, just the going through the ability. There's so much mental about being healthy, and being able to go through your everyday grind that you go through as a player, the workouts, and you feel better about your workouts, and you feel better about your conditioning, and he's worked extremely hard at his conditioning, and he's just light years ahead of where he was at the end of the season because he's been able to sustain and be out here every day. So the mental part of that comes with that, knowing that you're at your best and you're in your best shape and you're getting your 500 threes up every day, and so you're confident, and that's been one of the great things about seeing Luke healthy.
Terrence said he was one of his primary focus was consistency. Have you seen that more from him this summer?
Yeah, he's had a great spring. I think going through the process helped him understand some shortcomings. I think it's great to hear it from maybe the next level people as well. Working on offhand stuff, working on his mid-range, working on his floater, not trying to, I won't say disappear from games, but being more assertive in a continual type of way. And I think that's one of the things we're trying to work with as a coach, is make sure he's assertive. He's not just a first-team All-League guy. He might be a first-team All-American. I mean, he's what they look like, and elevating his status up the scouting report. Not that it wasn't at the top, but he's going to be one of those guys, and we need him to be consistent and assertive all the time, not just in segments of the game. We need him to be a dominant rebounder. We need him to be a dominant defender. I think he's one of the best two-way guys in the country in terms of offense and defense and what he can do. We need him to be that 10 rebound in the half game guy that we had against UCLA. We need him to be that guy for us as well, because it leads to the one thing he does great, and that's playing the open court. And so, all those conversations we've had, and he's very confident, very committed to making sure that happens.
Coach, I assume Quincy came here largely because he felt he fit well in the system. How's that marriage work with scheme?
He's been tremendous. He's been literally dominant on the glass from day one, and I think that we've seen that. His versatility. Here's a guy that day in and day out can win any of our shooting contests or shooting drills. Very, very good three-point shooter, can space it. He's worked really hard on his ball handling, putting him in a position to play into some matchup issues. But just his maturity and his poise is very evident. You can tell it's a guy who's been through it at a high level. He's been coached very well, so the transition's been very easy for him. But he gives us great versatility because he's big and strong. Could play some small ball five with him, and can slide to the three. And so he's been tremendous.
Sincere had mentioned putting an emphasis of evolving his offensive game. What were you seeing from him on that front to kind of take that next step on that side?
Yeah, it's not just playing on the ball. It's doing stuff off the ball. We've seen him. He's worked awfully hard since the end of last season. I think he went through the freshman lack of confidence, unsure. Shooting it, unsure at the free throw line. I think all those are gone. And I think that he can be a tremendous asset in the open court, pitching it ahead, attacking. Trying to not always have the ball. Where he can catch it in one or two dribbles, and we've seen him finish. He's a great finisher. He's athletic, and he's awfully twitchy. So it's just adding a little bit of arsenal to his game, and not having him be a point full time and have to think about everything that goes along with that. Sometimes just playing the game.
Quincy and Marcus here, Luke said that it's freed him up to play the three a little more and run around a lot more as a shooter. Just what does that maybe do for him
I hope confidence. I hope understand that, you know, he's a guy we have to get shots for. You know, and and sometimes it's a matchup that we like. You know, he's an elite shooter. He's very, very good at shooting the basketball, running away from the basket. There's not many of those out there, you know, where you can rip him off baseline screens and actions. You know, he's got size, so that forces maybe some smaller guys to guard him, and he shoots over the top of those guys very easily. And yeah, sometimes with a four-man, it can cause a matchup, and so gives us a lot of versatility and different things to do with him.
Dre's pretty loud for a freshman. It seemed like today. What's he brought on the court?
Yeah, Dre's good. He's a good player. I don't want to get the cart before the horse, so to speak, with him. But he does not lack confidence. He is as hard a working guy, really, as we've had. He lives in here. He asks questions. He wants to know. He's got a maturity about him, both he and Imani, in terms of how much film they're watching and the questions they ask are the right ones. You know, it's just it's now just living the experience. But very, very good shooter. He's got a great floater. He's very talkative. He's not shy and bashful, and he's not lacking for confidence. And that's something that has been evident from day one. But you know, there's no doubt. Not only Draven, but Imani, they both fit. They're very talented and have been very well coached.
How important are these practices and the Spain trip for those guys?
Oh, it's huge. They're getting a ton of opportunities. You know, and it's a opportunity for them to see grown men, you know, in all three of these games that play and the pace they play, but just go out and compete and get a feel for what it's like to be a college basketball player. That's huge. The experience piece of that is tremendous, bigger for them than anybody else. So yeah, I'm excited for those guys to get their feet wet and kind of get some of the nervousness and the jitters that come with just playing my first college basketball game.
How was the coaching work over there? Will there be a chance at all in any of those games for your assistants to maybe step
I'm not coaching any of them. Chester's got game one, Tim's got game two, Jeff's got the third one. I'll set with the notepad, keep notes. It's a great opportunity for those guys to slide over a seat, make decisions. It's a great opportunity for Zach and Tyler to kind of step into some of their new roles and be involved that way. You know, Tyler on the offensive side, Zach on the defensive side, help those guys that way. Yeah, it's not just a great learning experience for our players. It is for our staff as well, as they get to sit in that seat.
You did that in Italy. Just what was it? What did you take from that for yourself?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I laughed. I mean, yeah, you know, in all seriousness, it's fun to see guys, how they act and how they react, and you pick up on what their thought process might be compared to what your thought process might be. You know, I'm not into, you know, in a game, you know, my thoughts are going to win out. Now I get to evaluate and see how they think in a situation, or what they're seeing compared to what I'm seeing. And I'll leave all the substitutions up to them. You know, we'll talk a little bit about lineups prior to the game, but you know, all those decisions will become theirs, and yeah, it's good. It's good for those guys.
There's been a big emphasis on body transformation, or what you want to do with Fletch this summer with the guys. Just
it's been
Ty City got down to 205. That was a big deal for him.
It's just the natural process that you go through in our program. It's not. It's the experience of 8 weeks of Fletch, and you know, asked Ty to take his shirt off. I mean, he's just ripped. He's just chiseled, and it's all those guys, and it's Amani's going through it, and he's a young man who's dropped weight, but he's got to add and get flexible and do those things, and then he'll start putting good weight back on. But it's the nutrition piece, it's the conditioning piece, and that happens from year to year. That's why old wins sometimes. As guys get older, they get in the weight room, they get established, they get in much better shape because their bodies are different, and we've got the best in the country in Fletch, and these guys have, he said it's the best summer we've had, so I'm excited about that.
Coach, do you feel like this team is going to be a better three-point shooting team?
I hope so. I mean, I feel great about a lot of guys. It's something we set out to try to you add Quincy, you add Justin, you add Marcus, you're adding guys that Draven, all of those guys are really good shooters. Put Luke back in the mix. Coleman will be an improved shooter. Amani can shoot it. So we've added shooting, and so not sure it could be much worse than it was last year. So we'll pray that it's better.
Another summer, you get now 2 guys to return after going through the process. You've seen that with Iowa and Kofi. What do you think it is about maybe your pitch or what you guys can help them grow in that one more year rather than making that jump when they initially declare?
Yeah, it's not my pitch. I think it's I stay out of it, to be very honest. But I think it does speak to what we're developing here. I think it speaks to what the comfort that they, Terrence spent most of the off season here. He didn't run off and go do anything else. He knows, what he's got here with Fletch and 24 hours ability to get into a facility and coaches that can work you out. But I think it's just, guys gaining and understanding the information they get and truly making very smart decisions based on that information. And sometimes, when it's time to go, it's time to go. But when it's not, they feel really good about everything that's in place here and the ability to win and be successful. We've done that. And then, from a facility standpoint and a training standpoint, it's pretty good.
When you schedule these games overseas, how much do you know going in about those opponents? I know Fred just played one of those teams you guys are going to go against.
Yeah, Joey just told me that score yesterday afternoon, and that's about all I know. It's usually one of the last things that happens is the scheduling of the games. But we got beaten Italy, so we're going to face teams that are good, and I think obviously the team Fred just played at Nebraska took them to overtime, and so I'm assuming that team's pretty good. And they're older, they're mature, they're acclimated to the rules, and again, we're going over with the mindset of playing a lot of guys, and we're trying to win them, but we're going to learn a little bit about ourselves in that process as well.
Food or the wine? What are you looking forward to most?
Ooh, both. Both. Yeah, it's. I'm excited. I've never been to Spain, and the hardest thing's going to be. I hear they don't serve dinner until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and that's about 2.5 hours past my bedtime. So, staying up. But no, I'm really excited about it, and we've got a little wine trip in there with some donors, and we'll enjoy that as well. Enjoy a little beach time, and got 3 great cities in Madrid, Valencia, and Barcelona, and to see those sites is not just great for our players, but it's something I'm really excited about as well.